Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining in this morning. Let's first double check the audio and please let us know if you can hear us loud and clear. And we'll be using the question panel that is on the right side of your screen. And you can use this panel to send us all of your questions throughout the webinar. So first, if you can let us know if the audio is loud and clear. All right, Mr. Sheldon, thank you so much. Mr. Lewis, thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Michael. All right, so now let's just wait a couple of minutes for everyone to join in. And we'll be starting our webinar in about 2 minutes. A quick reminder that this webinar will be recorded and sent to your email right after the webinar. So all of our webinars are recorded and then uploaded to our YouTube channel. This is AppCom USA on YouTube. So any information that you may need after the webinar, you can always go and check the recording at AppCom USA. Also, we invite you to keep visiting our website, appcom.net, for future events for RBTEC and any other webinars that we present. We'll be publishing them on our webinar section. This is on the top of our appcom.net website, and we invite you to keep visiting our website. Also, a quick reminder that all the RBTEC products that you're going to be seeing on this webinar, we have stock in Texas as well as in Miami for immediate delivery. So please, if you want to get a quote, just contact your sales representative and we'll be happy to send you a quote right away. Okay, I think now it's now 5 and we are ready to start. And well, welcome to our AppCom webinar. Today we have perimeter sensor cable solution with RBTEC, protect any type of physical barrier. I would like to welcome Dori Brebeck from RBTEC, who will be our presenter for today's webinar. Please send us all of your questions through the same panel that you used to make sure that the audio was loud and clear. And at the end of the webinar, we'll have a Q&A panel to answer all of your questions. For those of you just joining in, welcome. And Dori, I think now we're ready to start.
Okay, so welcome everybody, and thank you for attending this webinar. Today we're going to talk about a little bit, as you guys said, perimeter security. The RBTEC is a manufacturer of perimeter security for 37 years, and the point of this webinar is to teach you guys a little bit about our solutions and where they can be used as well. So to clarify our customer base and just that you understand that who our systems are sold to, it's not necessarily government and it's not necessarily military or prisons. Actually, our systems are sold to a lot of solar farms, to a lot of businesses, to a lot of condominiums, all kinds of communication towers. It can be a range of products and customers that are solving those issues for those type of customers that traditionally are not being taught that will buy perimeter security. So it can be a self-storage facility, or it can be logistics warehouses, and so on. A little bit about our customers. I'm not going to get there too much, but we sell to a lot of the government branches in the US and in other countries, along with a lot of large commercial customers around the world that buy the systems. I'm going to do a quick video on the system, which is a short animation.
Do you have a perimeter fence that needs protection? Then you need the ironclad, a perfect solution to detect any unauthorized intrusion. The sensor cable detects any cutting, climbing, or lifting throughout the full height of the fence. The algorithm of detection is designed to filter vibrations like wind, rain, and snow, while still detecting sharp frequencies like cutting or climbing. Fence sensors were known for being complicated, custom, unreliable, and expensive, but not anymore with RBTEC's Ironclad. or as we call it, perimeter security made easy, reliable, and affordable.
So the point here is to explain that our systems, although give superior detection and are designed for every application from low security to high security, are still designed from the beginning that any installer or integrator that have never installed perimeter security can install those systems. So the systems of plug and play, or the family of plug and play systems that RBTEC offers, is split into 3 families. We call them the Ironclad, that is designed for chain link and welded meshes, the Mic Alert, which is designed for aluminum fences, rigid fences, and the Wall Alert, which is for inner and outer walls, that is mostly for detection of penetration or vibration over walls. This is not to detect someone climbing over a wall. I'm going to show that later on. So the main system that we're going to talk about today is the Ironclad. The Ironclad, we call it a fence alarm system because in simplicity, this cable that you see over here in the picture transform any fence into a sensor that will detect cutting, climbing, jumping, and lifting of the fence. So it adds an ability to have an alarm system on the fence, and it can be connected to any burglar alarm or standard alarm system, just with dry contact outputs, normally open or normally closed. Therefore, it can be an addition to an existing system to allow perimeter security for a facility that currently doesn't have one. So the system is sold in length of 250, 500, or 1,000 feet, or 75, 150, or 300 meters. So the system comes in pre-cut sizes from the factory, and that's how we sell it, and that's how EPCOM stocks it. But the cable can be shortened to whatever length you need while doing the installation, and then you just install an end-of-line termination unit, and that unit will, again, have just termination resistor, and simple as that, the new length is working. Now, the system is quoted or in the system in codes of a single zone or a 2 zone. The single zone can be done with 1 zone that you buy. So let me explain. When you buy a 1 zone system, you get the processor and the cable, but you can connect to it a 2nd zone if needed with whatever length you need. So the processor is always a 2 zone processor. When you buy a 1 zone versus a 2 zone system, it just depends on how many cables you're buying when you're buying that system, 1 or 2 spools. Now I'm gonna show here a quick demonstration of a demo of how the system works. So you can see that he's shaking the fence, but there's a light over here that the light doesn't trigger when he is shaking the fence like the wind. When he starts climbing the fence, we'll get a detection. So we'll show it from another angle again. The point here is that we show you that the basic level of algorithm is able to filter false alarms from wind and any vibration that is not related to intrusion. But when someone tries to climb it or obviously cut it, we will get the immediate alarm. On top of that, we have up to 500 levels of sensitivity. That way you can adjust that system specifically to the fence that's installed on. So generally speaking, when the system is installed, we put the processor on the fence itself, and then we have 1 zone to the left and 1 zone to the right. The cable that is installed on the fence will be installed in the middle, and that will detect the whole panel, meaning that even if they cut at the bottom or jump from the top, we'll be able to detect it because that cable that is in the middle of the fence is able to sense the whole height of the fence. From that processor, we usually take 1 cable that carries a low voltage DC 12 or 24 and the contact closures to the alarm systems. As a whole, just to give you an understanding, the system can work on every fence, so old, rusty, nice, clean or not. But things that you need to avoid when you're selling a fence system is that there's no debris or junk laying on the fence or against the fence, and we cannot have the fence barely standing and expect that it will work. We prefer that the fence will be as nice and as taut as possible to be able to detect in the highest quality and be able to separate false alarms like the low frequency vibrations from wind over the high frequency impact from cutting and climbing. When the system is installed, you can see here the processor is mounted on a fence. Again, cable is in the middle. We are recommending to buy the stainless steel twist ties, and they will be mounted every 20 centimeters or every foot. And the purpose of the stainless steel twist ties is they last for 10, 15 years in every weather, and they won't break like plastic ties. There are two enclosures that are, as I said, in the system. The end of line is just with one input, and a repair or extension or splice box is just a simple box with a terminal that we connect the both wires. No need to solder, no need to have any special skills whatsoever. So when looking on our processor, it's important to understand a couple of things. First of all, you can see that it's constructed out of two main boards. So the bottom board, which is the input or the interface board, that's mainly a surge protection. So in case that the board is getting hit by lightning, we will replace only the bottom board and not the whole system, which is cheaper, easier to repair, and therefore able to fix it in a quicker manner. Other than that, you can see that we have buttons straight on the board itself. Those are able to change 20 levels of sensitivity directly on the board itself with no training, with no computer, with no knowledge. But we have here a USB-C input that we have a software that is included and is free of charge that you can adjust the system with software and therefore adjust it up to 500 levels of sensitivity. But the main advantage of this software is two. First of all, you can see a live signal of the signal of the sensor. So if there are any issues on the sensor cable itself, or there's any issues with the system, whether it's grounding or power or anything else, you'll clearly see it in the signal plot. Second, if the installer, in some case, is having problems and needing RBTEC to support, we can remote into the laptop that is connected to the system and do the remote support or remote calibration with you guys and help you figure out any problem. Meaning that there's no situation that someone will install this system in the field and they're gonna have a problem and we won't be able to solve it. Because the moment we will see the signal of the system, we can troubleshoot and solve any problem with the system and at least know when it's working versus it's not working. There's no guesswork when the system is connected to the computer. So as I said, on the kits, we have standard kits that every kit has a mother code or the main code for it. For example, this kit is an Ironclad 1 zone 250, which means one spool of 250 feet, an end of line, the processor, and a weatherproof enclosure, like you can see in the picture. A 2 zone or a 2Z would be exactly the same, just with 2 spools of 250 and so on as far as the length of the kits. Before I'm going to like basic understanding of how we lay out the system, are there any questions? Do you guys want to take questions right now or only later? Victor.
Hello, Dory. At the moment, we don't have any questions, but
Okay.
if someone else wants to send us a question, please send us through the webinar, and then we'll be happy to answer it at the end of the Q&A. But at the moment, we don't have any questions.
Sounds good. So usually when you lay out the system, there are 3 ways of thinking how you lay out a perimeter security. There is a security plan, which is dividing into zones that are based on cameras or based on coverage, topography, meaning north, south, east, west, or budget, which means stretching the cable as much as you can to cover the perimeter in order to have perimeter security, but the resolution of detection is not as important. So in this case, for example, this is a site that is 700 feet or 213 meters, which means we can cover it with a 1,000 feet kit or 300 meters kit, and that which are the same, by the way. So it means that we have a processor over here that stretches around all around the site, and then the end of line is placed next to the processor, and you have one single zone and a single output to the perimeter, to the alarm system for the perimeter security. So you won't know where the intrusion is coming from, but you will know that somewhere along this perimeter there is an intrusion. For many sites, that's important enough, and you don't need more than that. They don't have multiple cameras or infrastructure to pinpoint and say where the intrusion is coming from anyway, even if they were on the fence itself. So there's no way to verify it, and therefore they just want to know if someone is cutting and climbing the fence. The second most common situation is a two-zone system. So obviously in this case it's a perfect square, and therefore it's a little bit more I would say simple, but the essence is that on a two-zone system, you have a processor that is mounted along the perimeter, and from there you're going to have two zones that are meeting at the very other end of the site, and this is a dead end, meaning it's not a loop. The cable starts at the processor and finishes and at the end of line termination unit. It doesn't need to go back. I'm not going to go over the other sites because those are more complicated layouts if needed. So the second product we're using or with Epcom and we're selling is the Mic Alert. The Mic Alert is a very similar system to the Ironclad. It's only designed for the more rigid fences, which means the aluminum or the wrought iron fences that in those cases are nicer fences, and in some places they have that instead of chain link or welded mesh. We can protect those as well. You can see in this case they clamped the sensor cable on the inside of the fence. It's prettier, and from the outside you won't even know that there is perimeter security on this fence. In this case, because the layout of the infrastructure is a little bit different, we need the cable to be mounted on a continuous infrastructure. So in this case, it won't be connected in the middle of the fence and the cable hanging in the air between the rods. It will be on the top rail that the cable is strung and installed on that infrastructure, and you'll still get detection for the full height of the fence. If this is a very tall fence, then we can do a loop on the top and then come back on the bottom brace if needed. So some applications and installations that were done with this type of system. So the third system, again, the wall alert. A wall alert is the sister of the other products to detect penetration and intrusion through a wall or a ceiling or a floor. Meaning that if someone has an interior wall for a warehouse, for a secured building, for a vault, for something that they need to have vibration sensors that are more than a couple of feet, and instead of those point vibration sensors, the small vibration sensors that some companies sell, this is a continuous vibration sensor that we attach to the wall and usually installed in some kind of a pipe or a conduit, and that will detect drilling, hammering, any impact to the wall to try to get to the other side of the wall. Now you can see it can be on bricks, it can be on drywall, it can be on concrete, not a problem to detect. It just depends on the application. Now regarding walls for gates, sorry, for all of the other systems, the wall alert, the Mic Alert, and the Ironclad, we have three solutions for the gates. So for a sliding gate, we have a retractable spool. It's more of like an extension cord that reels in and out with the gate and allows the cable to be non-sensitive between them, but a sensitive on the fence and a sensitive on the gate. So the cable that pulls out from this kit is a non-sensitive, just to connect the two parts. On a swing gate, we have two options, and it depends if you have a conduit under the gate or you do not. So on the gate itself, you can see that we loop the cable. It can be on a double swing gate as well. And then we go with a non-sensitive based on an RG6 coax usually, and continue the fence line. If you don't have the conduit under it, you can place the cable directly on the gate and have a quick connector to plug and unplug the sensor cable. So the point here is that if someone wants to protect the gate and it's a gate that opens once in a while, or the customer is willing to open and close that gate connector every day, we can go just straight on the gate without going underground to cross. Because again, the cable has to be continuous. There cannot be any jumps or gaps in the sensor cable. Now, another thing is that if the system is working and you open that plug, there will be an immediate alarm, because that's like simulating a cut of the sensor cable. So just to explain how we compete against video analytics, for example, in many cases, or why video analytics is not necessarily always the solution for perimeter security, and in this case, a sensor cable can have an advantage. So first of all, we are not based on line of sight, meaning that if this is a place where there's containers or trucks or anything that blocks the line of sight of the cameras for the perimeter fence, in our case, of course, we will have a detection where the video analytics won't see anything. It's the same for weather or any condition that blocks the line of sight of the cameras, that we are not relying on that. We really like working with video, that we do the detection and the video do the video verification, meaning that they'll see if someone is actually there or not, but not basing the video as only the sole detection capability. Now that's regarding the fence sensors. We have a couple of other technologies that I want to talk about today, and one of them is the Seismo. The Seismo is a ground sensor, so it's a vibration sensor or a seismic sensor that will detect walking or driving next to it or over it. This is mostly designed for detection of humans in high-end residential or places where the looks is more important or as important as the detection, and they want something discreet or invisible, but still allow them to detect intruders that are coming through the field or the open yard or the forest or the golf course or anything that there's no actual barrier, but they still want to have the detection. One important thing to understand, this system is based on AI. So not every vibration in the ground will trigger an alarm. In this case, it classifies the vibrations, and it will classify if someone walking versus a construction site or a road or anything that is away from the place the sensors are installed. So I'm going to show you a quick video of how it's working. So you can see that the person is walking. We see the signal in the 4 sensors, and we'll get an alarm for walking, and so the system classifies the walking. The point here is that we have either 4 or 8 sensors in the system. A 4 sensor is 40 meters or 120, right, 120 feet, or the 8 sensors, which is 80 meters coverage, 240 feet detection. So it's important that every time that the system triggers an alarm, you'll see the alarm here. That means that a relay latched, so the system have up to 4 outputs of alarms that we can program in different ways. And I'm going to show you that, for example, when a dog is running over the system, you can see that animals are not detected. So we see the signal of the dog. The system doesn't classify it as anything that it recognizes as a human walking or crossing the system, and therefore the system ignores that signal completely. So there's no alarm from dogs or wild animals or deer or anything that is not a human crossing the fence, the system. So that's how it looks like when it's installed. It can be installed in a line. Again, it can be 8 sensors. From that, it will be another 4 going the other way around. On the picture here, you can see the physical fence, the physical sensor. The sensors are coming pre-installed on the cable. So the installation of the sensor is just plugging the sensor line into the box. So there's no real installation of the sensors themselves. You just put them in the ground, or you stick them in the trench in the ground. This system, again, has a software that is free of charge and included in the system. It's an IP-based unit, meaning that you will connect either locally or remotely through a network. You'll be able to see the signal of the system. and then you can adjust the sensitivity per sensor per type of detection. Meaning that if we have, in this case, 4 sensors, each of them can be adjusted for walking and for vehicle detection with the different repetition and sensitivity level. So the last system that we have is the RaySense. So the RaySense is important to understand that this is a system that is designed for the larger sites. So this is a 3-mile, 5-kilometer plus perimeters. So it can be for a condominium, it can be for a mine, it can be for an airport, it can be for anything. But as long as the perimeter is on the larger side, because the price is higher than every other system that we had over here, and it only makes sense when we have a lot of kilometers or miles of perimeter that we need to monitor. And in this case, all the perimeter will be monitored with one box. So the RaySense is based on fiber optic versus the ironclad, mic alert, and wall alert that are all based on copper. The fiber optic, in this case, we shoot a light into the fiber optic and we get the reflection from the fiber optic. So compared to other systems from competitors, that in some of the cases, they need to have a loop of the system to work. And if the loop is cut, the system stops working. In this case, because we are measuring reflection of the cable itself, even if the cable is cut, we are able to still monitor up to the cut. Now, in some cases, for example, an airport or high level of security facilities, we have the ability to do a redundancy or 2-channel. What it means, we are monitoring with one fiber counterclockwise and with the other fiber clockwise. And if there's a single cut, they will look into the cable up to that cut, meaning that single cut in a whole perimeter won't hurt the detection whatsoever. So this is a unique ability that in some cases, if the customer is saying, I need security no matter what, in this case, we'll be able to provide it. The point with the RaySense is that if this perimeter is up to 50 kilometers, we can do it with one box, no power in the field, no communication, no electronics, nothing is done in the perimeter. On the perimeter, there will be only cable in the ground or on the fence. So the general layout of the system looks like that. We have the fiber in the field, it connects to a patch panel that connects to the RaySense itself, and from there, everything is based on IP. So we have usually our own server that monitors the laser unit, and you can integrate it from there to any VMS, camera system, any system out there, and also to multiple workstations or security guards that are watching the systems, let's say, in different parts of the site. They don't need to sit next to the unit itself. Some of the installations that we've done in recent years, we're actually finishing right now a security system in the Lima International Airport as well with this system. So this system is being installed in Latin America in quite a lot of sites and with different types of sites as well. In this case, it can be also on the ground. There are 3 levels of security, which in most cases, a single line will be more than enough. But in some cases where it's an extremely high sensitivity or security site, we have the ability to do 2 lines or a snake serpentine to have even more coverage in the ground. I'm going to show you a quick example of how it's working in the field. And you can see that the ATV is driving, the cable here is in the ground. We see the signal of the system, and you see the meters at the bottom that we are able to follow where the vehicle is exactly. On the user interface, you'll get the alarm and the exact location of where the alarm happened. It's gonna come back, and you can see that it's gonna stop the vehicle. There's no signal, it's walking. We're getting a walking alarm. You can see it on the map where the walking alarm happened. The system classified as well as walking. And then it starts digging, and you can see that the digging has a completely different signal from a vehicle, walking, and digging. We get the digging classification, And after multiple digging, we'll get a digging alarm, and you will see that on the map, we placed it where he's digging. So about 10 meters, 30 feet from the vehicle. So this system, although we have up to 50 kilometers of cable or 30 miles of cable, we can place the intrusion within 3 meters or on the fence and roughly 5 to 10 meters in the ground where the intrusion is coming from. I just want to show you here the intrusions. When an intrusion comes, we'll get a small, this is the before that we more demonstrate the detection, here is more of the interface. So you can see that there will be a small bubble, and then the intrusion itself, or the intrusion alarm jumps and pops up, and we'll know exactly where it is, but also a GPS location. So we know that the fiber is 40 kilometers on the fiber where the intrusion is, but also with an exact location of GPS that we can integrate into the cameras or the patrol vehicle, or sending someone the information so they can go exactly to that location where the alarm happened. This is not more or less or zone based. This is a system that is a pinpoint detection capability. Generally speaking, I just want to show photos of some of the installations and customers that we sell to. Again, a lot of industrial outdoor storage, solar farms from all kinds, a lot of the RV, camper, boat, self-storage facilities from, again, all kinds. You can see that in all the pictures we have cables on the fence. So it's all from installations that we've done for different type of customers. A lot of transportation, logistics, trucks, trains, warehouses, also interior fences for data centers, for warehouses that are secured or need protection, or protecting certain equipment that needs to be inside the warehouse that cannot be accessed. A lot of electrical, oil and gas, water substations from all kinds of types. We've done multiple gated communities, golf club, estates, condominiums, conjuntos in Mexico, and every type of system possible for those type of more closed neighborhoods or buildings. We've done also for local governments, service yards, impound lots, for insurance companies where they take the wrecked vehicles. Also different applications. You need to think about defense systems as also a safety or insurance liability system as well. So in this case, if this is a public pool and someone jumps the fence and drowns in the middle of the night, the pool will be liable for that person. So in that case, they put a sensor on the fence around the public pool in order to let them know if someone is coming off hours. We've done installations on different infrastructures. You can see also barbed wires, concertina coils, and all kinds of fences. So if there are variations of fence, there's no problem. The system can work on solar as well. It's a low voltage for, again, the ironclad Michael and wall alert. It's a low voltage system that can work on solar. In some cases, if this is something you need, it's possible. You can see in this case, this is for a school district where we're protecting the school buses. And that's it for now.
We have a couple of questions, Jerry.
Sure.
Can seismo sensor be covered? Example, concrete pavers, etc.
Yes. The seismo can be covered with any material. Concrete, asphalt, dirt, or anything will be able to sense the vibration. Actually, the harder the soil or the harder the surface, it's actually better because the vibrations are transferred more efficiently to the sensor. We cannot install it in a very soft ground. For example, a beach, sand, there will be barely any vibration into the ground. And in that case, for example, the sensors won't work efficiently.
Thanks. And we have another question. Can races connect to conventional and are via normally open, normally closed contacts?
The answer is yes and no. It can, but because this is a system that is designed to be a point detection, there are too many zones or too many relays usually that will be adjusted. We can split the system, the RaySense, even let's say it's a 5-kilometer system or 3-mile system, we can split it into 100 meters, 300 feet sections and integrate them with relays. So the answer is yes, but then you are forfeiting or losing some of the advantage of the RaySense of having that resolution of detection of 3 meters, 10 feet.
Thank you, Dory. And well, at the moment, those are the two questions that we had for this Q&A. But then if you want to open your mic and send us a question or send us a comment about this webinar, we'll be happy to do so. And if you want to send a question through the question panel, we're going to be here another couple of minutes. So we have another question here is there an average lifespan on Sysmo sensor? Only asking for potential service time in the event it's covered.
So the lifespan of the Sysmo is designed to be 15 years. So there shouldn't be any problem with the sensors as long as no one is damaging them being in the ground.
Thank you, Dory. Okay, so if you want to send us a question, this is the moment. And then if also we're going to be sending Dory information that we have on screen on the follow-up email. If you have any other additional question, or if you want a quote of any of the products that you saw in the presentation, please send us an email and we'll be happy to send you a quote with your sales representative. So we have two more. We have another question. If you have to provide a rough estimate per foot or meter on material per fence, would you have an estimate, Dory?
I'm not sure I understood the question.
A rough estimate per feet or per meter on material per fence.
Material of what? Like the cost?
Yes, the cost of the installation per either per foot or per meter.
It's not something that I can share just here because it depends on what system and what length of kit we're buying. The cost per foot for 1,000 feet 300-meter kit versus 75 meter 250 is not the same cost because you're buying one processor for both of them, but you're buying more cable. So the cost per foot or per meter is different. I suggested if there is an opportunity or at least something that you guys want to know, reach out to EPCOM to receive a quote for a specific kit or a system to be able to know how much is it.
Thank you, Dory. Yes, and we'll be sending you an email, Mr. Perini, and the question was about 5,000 feet. So we'll be sending you a quote with your sales representative so we can check your project and check for the specifications. And after that, we'll be happy to quote you. Also, Mr. Lewis will be sending you a quote for the products and also to check on the specifications of your project. That way we can specify the correct materials for each fence. Okay, so also all this information will be on our YouTube channel in a couple of minutes. If you need to review the information, please go into our YouTube channel, EPCOM USA, where all this information will be uploaded. We thank you again for your time this morning, and thank you, Dory, for this valuable information about RBTEC, and we hope to see you in our future webinars.
Thank you again.
Thank you, Dory. Thank you, Michael, and thank you, everyone, for your time this morning. Have a great day.